Alright, so if you couldn't tell, I have been like hyper focused on YouTube. I have doubled my October video count in one single day, and with like me posting so much, I am bound to like sound tired and out of it during some commentaries, but not for Howard, because Howard the Duck is one of my favorite champions of all time at this point. I cannot stress how much I love this champion. Like, I'll be honest, I could literally just post Moleman and Howard content for the rest of my YouTube career, and I could like have thousands of videos of just those two if I wanted to, but I gotta balance it out, so I am doing that. That's why you only see tidbits of Howard and Moleman every so often, but I just, this character, man, this character, I cannot stress how like beyond god tier he is. He is genuinely, besides Moleman, the best champion in this game, and that is zero bias. That is just 100% factual. Like, I just I have so many things to say about Howard the Duck that I just forget to like mention any of them because I just get too enamored with this champion. But yeah, they were dropped the SP1 and that fight's done. Howard the Duck, perfect Killmonger counter because of the armor breaks, so we're chilling. Now we have one of the first challenging matchups. Here we have this Power Snack Bishop. So you think that Howard couldn't take this fight because of Power Snack, but he takes it just fine. Like, people write off Howard for so many different matchups because of like the smallest thing, when in reality he is really good for the fight still, and people overreact about like, you know, a certain note or something. That's the only reason why Howard doesn't get enough love, because people like make a big deal out of the smallest thing that turns out Howard can like work around just fine. So yeah, like that is whatever, right? Like, you know, I'm not trying to get people to like main Howard the Duck with me, though it would be pretty cool to see like some Howard rank ups because of me, because you know, the Howard community, it's like relatively small. It's like me, it's like Brian, of course. Brian's like the leader and everything. Like Brian, me, Liam, I convinced him to rank up Duck. And of course, like one of the founders is Darth Ghost that doesn't play anymore, unfortunately. So yeah, like it's a pretty small but like pretty awesome community of just like Howard mains that, you know, just all appreciate this character and understand how good he is as a champion. So like right there, that was a very straightforward fight. Now we have this Burden of Might Sauron, and you know, Burden of Might, you would think, oh, he can't do it because he gains no power. Well, he still has like one of the hardest hitting basic attacks in the game, so it's like he still works really fine for it. So the biggest thing with Howard is to just not be afraid of like the smallest inconvenience, because when you think too much about like nodes that could counter him, you just don't use him at all. But in reality, he works really well for a lot of the nodes that could maybe hinder him a little bit. So yeah, that's the thing with Howard, man. Like once you get past that, he is just so versatile. And like my alliance, they were guilty of doing that. Like they even told me that they were too focused on like the smaller aspects of Howard, and that's why he wasn't really assigned too much in the previous season. But then I told them that that doesn't matter. He's still Howard, and he's still like one of the greatest attackers in this Alliance War tactic, and it'll be fine. Like it'll be completely fine. He'll like do these fights really well still. And so they trusted me, and here I am taking like what, 7-8 fights of war. It's really fun, and Howard of course is crushing it. Like if I ever like do not survive a fight with Howard, it's because of my mistake and not his. Like he is good for anything that comes his way. So yeah, right there, Sauron, very straightforward fight. Now we have this Path for Dust, and this was one of the ones that my officers questioned a lot, and I told them just send it. And I'll be, between me and you, I'll be completely honest, I was not confident with this fight, but I was like, if I'm going into a fight not confident, there are two champions that I trust myself soloing the fight with, Moleman and Howard. Give me one of those two and I can probably work out like some solution for the fight. So my solution here was to go for the parry method, but just like keep it a bit slow, right? Because I'm just gonna parry when I have at least like 1 dust on me, but if I have 2 dust on me, I'm just gonna not parry because like obviously, right? So yeah, that was the game plan, and it turns out that he does work pretty well for this fight. However, there is one thing to know in this fight, and I kind of didn't realize it until it was too late. So this node has steady build up unblockable. So whenever she goes to bar power, I have to make sure that I don't have a single dust on me, because if I have a single dust on me, she goes unblockable, and then that's when the fight gets a bit sketchy. So yeah, here's the game plan. It's either just like, hold my block and push to SP2, or just like, eat the unblockable and see what happens. So it was not the smartest game plan, but it worked. This fight is a solo because it's in this video, but I'll be honest, I am still undefeated with Howard in the season, so that's great. But yeah, here we go for the heavy attack after the relic, and now she's at the SP2 again, which is what we want. That's perfect, and this matchup is pretty much over now. So yeah, I think it works, but if the dust was awakened, then maybe a different story. But yeah, here the closing moments of this fight are just so sad, because I'm just trying to get like the closing intercept, but she is just not playing ball. So it's like, what am I supposed to do here, man? Like, I just want to get the intercept. There I finally get it, and there is Path 4 Dust in the bin. So now we have Path 5 Teenage Warhead. So people usually say that like the biggest drawbacks of Howard are like, if he can't stun, then he's just bad. And to be fair, this is a fully boosted rank 3 Howard, so of course he's going to be decent in this matchup, but he can still take these fights somehow. He can still take the fights where like he can't even stun. He can't even go for a parry to get the Furies. Like, this is just Howard doing regular hits, and he still works somehow. Is it a forced matchup? Absolutely, but if there is a will, there's a way. And Howard the Duck, look at this man. He is such a like inspiration, to be honest. But yeah, here we go for the SP1 again, and yeah, this matchup is pretty much under control. So like Howard needing buffs and like needing to stun, like I do agree with that, but one thing that I have noticed like that people say is the fact that he needs debuffs, and I have never really like agreed with that, because I don't really see any purpose in his debuffs besides like very niche scenarios. For example, the main event in this video is fighting that terrifying 47 Sasquatch mini boss. So yeah, he is armor break immune, but then again, you gotta think about the fact that like those armor breaks compared to his Furies are nothing. Like, the armor breaks do not matter in the slightest. The only debuff that matters for Howard is maybe the heal block, given like some scenarios. For example, for this tactic, it is pretty helpful, but then again, he doesn't even need it. And the way the tactic works is the debuffs still trigger, or no, like the tactic still triggers even if the opponent is immune to one of the debuffs. So like in that sassy fight, I could have dropped the heavy attack and I will still apply the heal block from tactic. So yeah, like for this tactic, the debuffs don't matter. In general, they just don't matter that much either. Like, I've taken Sasquatch with Howard in Battlegrounds all the time. It is a really good matchup. So yeah, I feel like sometimes Howard's drawbacks are a bit exaggerated, but then again, he does have like no. He's a perfect champion. Trust me. He is there. No drawbacks to this champion whatsoever. But now we have this Photon mini boss. This is a personal space regen Photon mini boss, and I know what you're thinking, well, how does he do Photon if like she goes untouchable whenever you stun her? Well, that summons one of the better playstyles of Howard the Duck, which is just spamming parry, and once you're like ready to cash in, you just don't stun them anymore and just do like regular hits, and the damage output is of course absolutely crazy. Like, just look at this damage output, man. A 22,000 non-crit. Like, it's so silly. He is one of the best damage dealers in the game, obviously. Like, no matter the health pool, he is just one of the best. That's just how it is. So yeah, the fight's pretty much done now. Go for a combo into the relic, And yeah, Relic does some pretty good damage. And then a 33,000 medium, man, because of course it's a 33,000 medium. So now we have this Conflictor Domino fight, and I know you're thinking this should be pretty bad for Howard too. And I'll be honest, I'll be the first to admit, maybe Conflictor isn't his best node. Okay, actually he could do it like without the Wags pre-fight. Like now that I think about it, it's just like a minor setback. It's okay, like he can do it pretty well still. But with the Wags pre-fight, it is a joke. It is like one of his easiest matchups by far. And with the Wags pre-fight, our stun duration is increased by a lot, I'm pretty sure, so we get those extra Furies as well. So like the Wags pre-fight is so good for Howard the Duck. And yeah, it's like pretty much, it's not essential, but it's a huge help in this fight for sure. But now we're just dropping heavies to keep the tactic up, and yeah, we have our Furies built up like all the way essentially, so this will be a pretty fast fight now. It'll go down really quickly. There we drop another heavy attack, a nice like 20 something thousand non-crit, because why not? We go back in, 17,000 non-crit. And yeah, his crit rate isn't the highest obviously, but that's fine when you're doing like 20,000 non-crit, or like, yeah, 20,000 non-crit mediums. That is insanity, man. But there she drops CSP2, perfect, go back in, and yeah, this should be wrapped up pretty soon. Look at that 63,000 heavy attack crit. 63,000, man. Okay. Alright, that's insanity. Do you want to know what else is insanity though? Taking a 700,000 health Sasquatch mini boss with Howard the Duck. So this is my third time doing this. I will post the other two to my members probably. Like I'll post it as like a members only video. But this is one of the craziest discoveries I have ever made in my MCOC career. The fact that he can do this fight, that is. So yeah, this is missing in action, and it also has power efficiency. So if you don't know why Sasquatch is placed here so often, it is because in Wrath of Tanarak, he gets like free special attacks. He can just infinitely spam SP1 or SP2, so like he is obviously tough on this node, right? And one of the reasons I am taking this fight now for like my alliance is because the person that was assigned it didn't really feel confident with the attacker they were assigned, and so I was like, you know what, I'll do it. And I said it as a joke first, but then I was like, wait a second, he might actually be good for this fight. So yeah, this is Howard the Duck versus a 700,000 health Sasquatch mini boss in Alliance War. Just wanted to say that again because that's like insane to think about. But yeah, here I go for the SP1, and it is now showtime. He has the Wrath up, so it is now time to just go all in. And my game plan is to just try to manage the Wrath, but that is of course tough when he is spamming special attacks. And there he gets the 3 bars of power, and I'm like, well, I might be in a bit of trouble here because yeah, that was unfortunate. And I'm kidding, of course, because the game plan is to tank those bad boys. So yeah, the game plan is to tank SP3s, which is insane to think about, but you know what? Yeah, it has to be done. It is like the best way of dealing with this fight, to just tank SP3s. And with an invuln boost, you have 3 SP3s to like tank with no damage taken. So like that's the game plan. Just tank the SP3s, and then after that, you're chilling essentially. So there he drops it again. And this is my final free SP3. So any other SP3 after this, I am taking damage. So yeah, it is gonna be like, I have to focus up now pretty much. I can't just tank SP3s anymore, but it was fun while it lasted. And yeah, now we're just gonna bait out his Wrath, wait till it's done, then we go back in, drop a heavy attack into the SP3, get that perfect bonus, which is a massive help for this fight for sure. And yeah, look at this damage output now. The SP3 is doing massive numbers here. That was like what, an over 100,000 SP3, and with the power backs that helps a ton. And yeah, this matchup is now over. Don't know how I even thought of like doing this fight in the first place, but the fact that like it is a commonplace fight for me now is insane. But yeah, it's a fun fight, and it can like of course go very wrong. Like I am well aware of that, but I'm 3 fights in, like I've done it 3 times and they have all been solos. So you know what? I think it's like okay to call it a good option for that fight. Like, it's okay to call Howard like one of the better options for it, that is. But yeah, Howard the Duck, what a guy, right? Like, what a stand-up guy, a stand-up duck, if you will, a stand-up duck. What a duck! It's amazing. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on Howard the Duck and just his all of his glory. And yeah, that's about it for me.